DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool. Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and DJNTV Insiders.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Running Your DJ Business with KC and Brian B.
Hey, KC. How are you, buddy?
Is up, Brian? I feel like we haven't done this show in like forever, huh?
It feels like it.
Definitely feels like off. And now for those of you watching this, we're going to be off next week too. I feel like we're an episode of was it Law and Order SVU? They just throw up an episode whenever they want to. If you don't DVR that show, you're going to miss the whole season.
Exactly.
So
it's summer.
That's no excuse. Our producer John is just lazy, no good, rotten. Anyhow, so yeah. So it's been a couple of weeks, so let's go back. We were on the week before the 4th.
Yeah.
And then nothing the week of the 4th. I think that's the one where John had a minor emergency and we just hit play and that was it.
Yeah.
Probably one of our best shows, actually. And then 4th, where were you over the 4th?
I was here in the city. I had the weekend off that weekend, so it was nice. It was they shoot the fireworks literally out of our window because we're outside the East River, so that's where they shoot them for the Macy's parade or the Macy's fireworks. It was great.
Gotcha. Televised, nationally televised.
Yeah. Nice. Which, good. If you didn't know, you probably know this, but they do a lot of it pre-recorded the night before. Not necessarily, not the fireworks necessarily, but all those live performances that they have all over the place. Those are all done.
Is that true of the countdown on New Year's Eve too?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Christmas tree lighting, all that stuff. It's all done. Like, not all of it is live. Yeah.
It's all fake.
Yeah.
So,
what about you? Where were you?
I actually spent the 4th of July in my office because I had marquee the following week and I was trying to wrap up details. And it was just a quiet year. I didn't have any events and I wasn't invited over because I'm a crabby man. And the only way to get into anyone's house is if they tune into the show.
Oh, there you go.
So that was that. But yeah, it was pretty chill. And then again, you were at Marquis, so that was a very busy week for me.
Yeah.
I'm still recovering.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I said hi to you once because you were just in and out going and just taking care of business.
No, it's crazy. It was very crazy. But for those of you that weren't at Marquis, thought it was a fantastic first run, man.
Yeah,
I really did. I was humbled by the amount of really positive feedback from everybody. The manufacturers were so gracious that they came in, and Nick from Promo Only was giving T-shirts out to every attendee.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great show. Actually, Photo Booth Expo gave out T-shirts as well. So there was lots of cool swag. It was a good time. And then in Chicago, just Tuesday night, we had the Chauvet Electro Voice Roadshow come through town. And that was up at our friend Jasmine's place up at Loft 21. And if that's coming to your town, I'm recommending that you go. And it could be because I goes winter chicken dinner. I got to take home a Chauvet Light that night. So my birthday came a day early. So that was that. But yeah, no, I thought Marquis had some hiccups that we're going to tweak out for next year. But overall, I got such unbelievably great feedback about the education. And that was it. Except for some guy named Brian seminar.
Yeah, that guy sucked. He's not worth listening to.
Mm-hmm. We will not be having him back, folks.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Gives away all of his good nuggets on Thursday nights. Anyway. So what did you think of the first? I mean, we've talked a little bit, but what did you think of the first time run for Marquis?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, the DJ industry can be sometimes cutthroat for sure, and I felt like there was a lot of love in that room. From everybody, and they were all rooting for you, that this show would go off and that it would do well. And I think people just kind of came together and just rolled up their sleeves, whatever they could do to help to make it work. And
yeah, it was super nice. Like I said, again, nothing, not comparing to other shows, but I haven't seen that much positive feedback on social media about any show in the last couple of years. Midwest DJs Live was probably with us because those guys put on an incredible show.
They did.
Very little limited budgets, and they're unbelievably nice guys.
Yeah.
So that was it. So we're set for July 8th through the 10th. And shameless plug, ding, ding, ding. If you get your passes for it using promo code EARLYBIRD before August 1st, instead of it being $4.99, you can get it for $250. So
a steal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's that. So yeah, then I crashed right into the weekend. My business partner, Dina, was on vacation. So as a result of that, I was doing my job and hers right after a really crazy week. And then proceeded to go right into this week because she didn't come back to work until today. And we're very busy this weekend. I even have to rock the mic this Saturday. So
wow.
I know. We've got 8 weddings, floral, and then I have I'm emceeing with Daryl, big wedding, lots of stuff. So yeah, it's like a $3,000 or $4,000 wedding. So
nice.
It's a nice gig, as Mike Walter would say. A nice
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah,
that's good. That's good stuff. Well, I'm headed to Southern California this weekend, and they're going to be at the NACE Experience. If anybody has been to that, that's National Association of Catering Executives.
Catering and events.
Executives. Sorry. I probably should know that. Yikes.
Yes, that'd be good, especially if you're on the microphone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loser, you don't really know what you're talking about.
And I'll just call them NACE for short. But anyway, yeah, I'll be there Sunday through Wednesday. So if anybody's headed to that in Palm Springs, nice, cool 105 degrees out there from what I hear. So it should be nice.
The guys and girls from Think Tank were just out that way this week. And do you know Robert Arthur?
I do. Yeah, good guy.
He was honored with what they call the Flame of Inspiration Award, which is that you lead your business amongst the other members to inspire other members to be better. And so it's a nice honor for him. And then even at the Marquis show, we had the Michael Butler Award, which is a charitable award, was given to the Adirondack chapter for all of the fundraising efforts they've done. The Peter Mary Award, for those that give back to the ADJ in the industry, was given to Mark Bernisen. And Chapter of the Year was actually given to Phoenix. So, so that concludes the awards that nobody cares about in the DJ industry until next month when they have Daryl Jake Jacobson's infamous DJ of the Year.
Well, and speaking of DJs of the Year, there's also the big DJ of the Year by DJ Mag.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, not by DJ Mag. I'm sorry, DJ Time. So this is like all of the
Yeah, that's
A-lister.
dear old Jake Jacobson's the one who's emceeing that.
That's the expo, but there's actually another one with all the celebrity guys.
Oh, gotcha.
So that one's a big one. I can't remember. I think Cascades
Big
won.
Daddy can't win that one, right?
Maybe if he puts.
So although
you have to be nominated.
you know Big Daddy, I know Big Daddy. Probably everybody watching us knows Big Daddy. You tell me purely from a marketing point of view. I told Big Daddy his goal for 2019 is he needs to audition for America's Got Talent.
And with what? Singing?
Singing. He's a great singer.
Yeah.
So
he's got a lot of talent. So I didn't know where
he can't be a model. I mean, I love the guy, but he's like me. We're before models for Jenny Craig.
Yeah.
But no, he's got an unbelievable voice. I think it would be a terrific PR thing for his company. And I think he would do really, really well by it. I told him, and I wasn't kidding. I think that he is talented enough, and he's got such a warm, loving personality that I think that he should audition.
Yeah.
I think it would be great for him.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I think I'm getting a summer cold from being run down.
Yeah.
I apologize, everybody. So, anyhow,
yeah. Well, today
we're TV.
Yeah, it is. What are we talking about tonight? Give us the topic. Let's kind of.
I don't know. What did John say we were doing? Deciding your business direction, running your DJ business with KC and Brian P.
Yeah.
Tell me that's like the worst morning zoo team in the world. KC and Brian P in the morning, man. Yeah, coming at you. The I-5 is backed up, people. Get ready to park those cars and do a whole lot of nothing. So I guess, you're a multi-op and to a degree also a glorified independent or specialty independent. I'm a multi-op and I've started not one, but two multi-ops now. And then I have a series of other wedding related businesses as well. Excuse me. And so as a result of that, I think that what John's looking for us, Brian, is like for those that are considering going multi-op, what were the fears, what was everything, and kind of going from that point of view.
Sure. Well, I think for me, it kind of was birthed out of necessity to go multi-op. I realized I was turning down a lot of business. People really wanted me to DJ their events. And, I was turning down so much that I was like, gosh, I really could utilize this. And to be frank, at the time, I needed that to be able to make it a real job. I wasn't at a level where where I felt I could charge enough to warrant working on my own full time as a DJ. Okay. So I looked at it as an opportunity to like, hey, this could be something that could be a career move for me if I'm able to bring on a few different guys.
And how long ago was that? The first time you did it?
Gosh, 99.
Okay. Do you think it's tougher today than it was back then?
Yes and no.
Okay.
From the standpoint of, well, and it depends on what your model is. I think people who are already trained as DJs, it's tough to get them to stay longer. I'm not going to say that it's not impossible because I know other people. The guys that were with me from the beginning have been with me from the beginning. I've got two guys in California who've been with me since we started, and but they're in a different phase of life too. They're a little older. Sure. This is a second job for them. This isn't their main thing. But the younger guys, I think it's tough because they have so many, opportunities to market themselves, whereas before maybe the owner of the business could really hold the reins there. And I still think that there's challenges that they're going to run into, but it's just been a little bit easier for people to get into the game, not only with the marketing side but also the gear side. It was another big challenge for a lot of even myself when I wanted to go on to my own. Buying gear was thousands of dollars, and as technology has improved, it's become so much easier for you to get your stuff. So I think there's a lot of things there. But all that to be said, it still comes down to if you build a culture where people want to see the bigger vision. They see the camaraderie. I think people would rather be on a team than feel like on an island more often than not. So,
got it.
But like I said, I tried a couple different models. My first one was guys that had been DJing that worked great in California, but when I moved to Florida, it didn't work so well. And so I ended up, having to train from the ground up. And boy, that is a little bit tougher, but it is definitely more rewarding for me and for them. And I think that the long game with that is there's a bigger upside there, personally. Okay. What about you?
I've done it both ways. I'm sorry. I am coughing like crazy. I don't know what's worse, having a cube of ice in my mouth. Is this driving you crazy?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It sure is. That's good. Let's get you a cough drop. How about that? Any around?
In July, they're not as readily available as they are in February.
Cough drops?
Well, I mean, not in my desk.
Oh.
So, and this whole winter, I went totally like bug free. But then I was around a whole bunch of disc jockeys last week, and maybe that was it. Anyhow, so it's interesting that you bring it up, because I just had one of my oldest jockeys pop in, and he asked me if we still trained from the ground up, and I said no, not so much anymore. And the thing that he said was one of the most valuable things that he learned in life from me, which that was really interesting. He said that every time he sits down and has a meal at like a somewhat formal restaurant, he thinks of me, because he started with me when he was like in high school. So you think about it, the first time you kind of sit down at a formal dinner setting is maybe prom. And you have your 2 forks to the left and your cake fork, you have your 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock dinner service, and perhaps multiple glassware or what have you. And so you kind of sit there like, I don't know which fork to use. Well, because they were all working for me, I explained the table service to them so they wouldn't look stupid if they were sitting with a bunch of adult guests if we got invited to dinner. And so I explained that to him, and he said, it sounds really dumb. He goes, but literally every time I sit down and I have dinner somewhere and they've got table service, he goes, I think of you and what you taught me. And he said, the most important thing was that you were setting me up for success, instead of just being like, oh, I don't care if he looks stupid or not. He's just a teenage kid. And so he said that back in the day too, we used to have everybody log their music back in the CD days, and they would have to log where it was, the BPM, who the artist was, and where it was located in the collection, so that you could just start to memorize all of the various locations. Plus, it was creating a cheat sheet for them. So when they started to go out on their own, they had it. They had whatever, 6 months or a year's worth of cheat sheets, so that they could literally go, Brownie girl, what can I play with Brownie girl? Oh shit, what do I play with Brownie girl? Oh my god, there's 2 minutes left. Oh my god, they could flip through and they'd be like, oh, I could play this, or this.
Right.
And so it worked out well. So plus, as you know, people retain 10% of what they see and hear. They retain 80% of what they read and write, though. So if you've ever made a cheat sheet in high school or college or whatever, you found yourself very rarely ever having to use it, because when you had done the research and then written it all down, you knew the answers to the questions. So it was one of those things, you just found yourself remembering it. So
yeah,
that's all. I'm sure that you never cheated, though. You never made the cheat sheet, but
no, I did. But it's funny. Some of those, for the guys that we've trained that are new,
yeah,
they've all been digital. Like they never had to deal with the CD side.
Wow.
So it's interesting to hear.
I spun vinyl.
Yeah.
Then my brother was on CD, and we used to do frat parties. This was like the early 90s. And we had cassette tapes, 2 systems of cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And let's just say fraternity guys weren't all that, picky on sound quality. Now, we had the best sound quality you could have on cassette tape at the time, but they were still cassette tapes. But it didn't matter when you had a bunch of drunk frat guys.
Yeah.
In some ways, I find it interesting because my nephew never learned on CD, and he laughs at me all the time because I still have my case of CDs in my office. And he'll turn around and go, I'll turn around and say, okay, pick a song. And Daryl will holler out the song, and I'll go, DJ Tools number 6, last track on the CD. And I can know it by memory faster than he can find it. His argument is, well, pick the new music. I go, that's easy. Promo only. Yeah. Promo only. So
yeah.
So that's all. But again, it's like driving a car. Once you learn the dashboard, it's
right.
You're still driving, but see, for me too, going back to the original theme of this was business direction and running your business. My dad owned his own business for 33 years. And do not ask me why. I used to watch on Friday nights, they had the TV show Dallas and like Falcon Crest, and J.R. Ewing would put his feet up on the desk and he'd be drinking like scotch from a decanter. And my dad owned his own business, and he was nothing like this guy at all. Okay. He was a hardworking guy, worked in his machine shop every single day, was the boss, but still rolled up his sleeves and ran machinery and cleaned bathrooms, did whatever had to be done. The interesting thing was, like, from as long of a time as I can remember, I always wanted to own my own business. And I always wanted to have employees working for me. There was a point in time where my dream was to have offices similar to what Joe Bunn's kind of doing. I wanted to have offices all over the Chicagoland area, similar to like a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I would supply the marketing and the branding. They would be booking themselves underneath our umbrella all over the city of Chicago, and we would just dominate. And that was the main goal. And it's not too dissimilar to like what Joe Bunn is doing, where he's kind of partnering with the guys that want to go out, that might have gone out on their own historically, and found a different path for them where he can keep them under the Bunn umbrella. Jeffrey Craig's done certain things as well, and it's done very well for him as well. So I apologize, everybody. My nose is running. I'm fighting that summer cold, and I think a lot of it is just I haven't really had a good night's sleep and a good day off. So I apologize. I crashed right into last weekend, and this Sunday I'm doing nothing. I'm really going to do a whole lot of nothing. So
good.
That's all.
Well, we got some longtime listeners of the show on with us on YouTube tonight. We got Tom, Scott, Pascal is with us tonight from Canada.
Pascal.
William, of course.
Canada.
And Martin, I think, if I didn't already mention them. So we've got some people already kind of asking some questions. And if you don't mind,
well, if anybody has any questions on Facebook, you can just fire them as well, because I've got Michael, Carlos, George, and James on here. So don't just tune in, but let us know. Say hello. Let us know that you're here, and ask us some questions. We'll try not to screw it up.
So Tom asks, can we talk about the importance of hiring a young assistant for wedding help? Is it worth it in even a low pricing market? And if you want to take that one first, or I can, it doesn't matter.
I'll take this one. I almost have always, and part of it too was I started in the very heavy amplifier days, very heavy wooden cabinet speaker days, very heavy steel Parcan. Were very like when the lighting effects were made in Italy, and they were like $800 for a Fan Star or a Derby, or those old school effects. You needed two guys to carry stuff in. I mean, I had 4 crates of records, and it was just heavy. And even with me being into working out and bodybuilding, like in my early 20s and stuff in college, a long turntable system is still a long turntable system. And there were times where I'd put it on a hand truck, but it always made me nervous because the Technique 1200s had the quartz crystal, which regulated it. And that was what regulated the direct drive. I had a party once where the direct drive just went out, and I started playing it, and all of a sudden it went from like young MC, like, here's a cheerful trying to do what those ladies told us, get it, and just it was doing whatever it wanted to do. So It made for a very long night going from that to like a mixtape and back and forth. And I had never had that happen before, but part of it was, I used to schlep it in a trailer, and you did what you had to do back in those days. But my brother, who's 4 years younger than me, he was pretty much my assistant the minute that we jumped on. And I think that an assistant just makes everything go smoother. Where he's talking about even in a low income area, everything is scalable. So even if you're not making the same rate that you and I are making, you being in New York, me being in Chicago, even if these guys are in Podunk, Idaho or wherever, they can scale their fees to their assistant that much more. And really, I never wanted warm bodies. I wanted people that really wanted to do with this. Warm bodies were great, but they got bored and they'd eventually be like, I'm going to go work at Blockbuster. I'm going to go work somewhere else. And that was that. The guys that really fell in love with DJing or just loved entertaining, that they were the ones that were always the right fit. So there's that. Michael says hello. Thank you. Hello. Rachel Lynch just joined us. Let's see if she chimes in.
Well, I'll tell you.
See, am I giving you my cold?
Yeah,
through the
totally.
computer?
Totally. That was fine. All of a sudden, now you just got me all going. Being in Destin, Florida, with our major stuff, that is kind of a lower priced market as far as not only what people make, but just what you can charge. I mean, there's a cap there.
Sure.
And, also, that typical market only had, I mean, you were dealing with 100 people max at most of the weddings there.
Okay.
Very, very few that you'd have over 100. That was like a rarity. And so in most cases, the average was probably 65, to be honest with you.
Right.
And we would try to sell value in trying to make it a 2-person team, but clients didn't want it. They just didn't see the value in it. I mean, we just tried to skin that cat every way we could, and there was just no way of doing it. So then really over the last
challenge accepted.
Yeah.
On the next DJ KC and Brian B, we're going to talk about selling an independent versus a team.
Well, but since then we've changed it up, and we have looked for warm bodies, and that has really worked well for us.
Okay,
because we are intentional about how we use that assistant.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I mean, I haven't had any problems getting warm bodies. People like the idea of being at a party,
right,
and seeing it from the rock star point of view, if you will.
Sure.
So there are those people who would love to be a part of that. They look at that and they go, well, geez, I could be doing this, or I could be flipping burgers. I'd rather be in a party, even if I have to wear a suit or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay. Sure.
So I think in a low pricing market, your profit may take a little bit of a hit. Obviously, no matter it doesn't matter how you do it, it's going to affect your profit. But like you said, it makes setup and tear down go quicker. There are some significant advantages, especially if you can, get this person up to speed on making your life easier. It allows you to entertain better.
Sure, even if it's very simple board hopping.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. No, I'm all about it.
So hopefully that answers your question there, Tom.
Yeah.
There's another one here by Martin. I was a single op, just began to expand to a multi-op, and I have faced many challenges. And one of them were, hold on a second. The fear or OCD is you don't want someone to screw up your vision. I would want to be on every job.
All I can say to you, dude, is let it go. Because there is more than one brain surgeon. There is more than one general in the Army. There is more than one admiral in the Navy. There is more than one CEO in this country. And so you have to put your trust in people the same way that you expect brides to put their trust in you.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is this. I don't ever want a mistake at a wedding. Do it, but I'm not operating on Brian's brain. I'm not sending Brian up in a rocket ship to the moon. And I don't mean to downplay what we do, because I love what we do. And I think we are, I think the talent is essential for a great event. But the reality is this, like, we're not a police officer where we're shooting and missing and possibly killing somebody, or, the worst piece of bad judgment we're using is the song is the wrong song. Okay. And again, I don't mean to downplay it, but it's not like we're firemen. We're not policemen. We're not military people where we've just shot somebody. We've just whatever. So I think that person needs to kind of let a little bit of it go and just breathe, because the reality is this, if you look for the worst things to happen in life, you're going to find it. And if you look for the best things in life to happen, you're going to find it. And it just has to do with your vantage point. Make sense?
I was at a conference, actually, educational conference, and Barbara Corcoran, I think.
Sure. Barbara
Think Tank
Corcoran for the Shark Tanks.
She said
Shark Tank. Think Tank is where Mike and Jason, Jenna, and those guys are.
Yeah,
They're
close.
not sharks. They're still minnows compared to the sharks.
But,
even Jeffrey Craig.
Yeah,
he might be a guppy, but he's no Damon John. Anyhow,
no, Mr. Wonderful. But she said something that really made a difference for me and my business and helped me think of it. She said 80% is good enough. And her point was there's never going to be somebody who's 100% you.
Right.
But if they are checking off 80% of the boxes, you have to be okay with that. And I think to his point about making sure they represent your vision and stuff, my advice there would be that is the foundation. You have to be repeating that until you're blue in the face, until they don't want to hear it anymore. Right. And if you aren't, and not only that, but you have to be literally showcasing that and exemplifying that in your own behavior, not just yelling it. Because if they see you doing one thing and yet you're saying something else, then it's not going to stick. So
no, I totally agree. Michael Jordan said he missed 100% of the shots he never took, as did Wayne Gretzky. And then, even in baseball, if you strike out 2 out of 3 times, or if you only hit once, if you hit 1 out of 3, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So the reality is, you need to focus on the baskets, focus on the hits, and be aware of the errors and adjust, and hire people that are willing to adjust as well. And, I'll have an example. One of my guys, we got the evaluation back on him, and they said that he didn't play. It was a Mexican-American wedding. They said he didn't play enough of the Mexican music we did. Now, this person didn't know, and we've all had this, that our DJs, when you're running Serato or even virtual DJ, that you get a playlist. So I had him, I pulled his playlist, and sure enough, we played like 70% of the music that he had asked for. And when I asked him why he didn't get to the other 30%, he was saying he was just reading the room, and there were a lot of guest requests, and so he was trying to accommodate everybody. When I emailed the groom apologized to me, saying, I hope I didn't get him in trouble. And I said, no, but we just wanted you to know that we're not just playing whatever we want to. We're playing what we feel is in the best interest of your party, based on what your guests are asking for, based on what we see people reacting to. And of course, we want to accommodate all of your requests, but we want your guests to have a good time at the same time. And he was totally cool with it. He appreciated the email, and that was that. So, some people draw the hard line, like, no, you play 100% of the requests. And that's just, again, it comes down to kind of a corporate culture and how you want to do things. And that's where you do have to trust the people working for you, that they're going to, that's that. Certain things I don't tolerate. You can't be late.
Yeah.
You can't be late. You can't drink. I don't care how screwed up your day is. You having a couple of cocktails is not going to make things any easier. It'll probably make it a lot worse.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We hear it from venue halls all the time that certain DJ companies allow their people to drink. It's crazy.
But here's what's funny is, if I owned a venue hall, I wouldn't allow my bartenders to serve them.
Right.
So
yeah,
if the goal is to show your clients the best time possible, they have a responsibility not to serve the photographers, the DJs, the floral decor companies picking up or dropping off or whatever as well. So
someone's asking too, and this will vary by market, but what do you think is fair compensation for an assistant? Do you do it hourly? How do you do that? See,
when I worked for another mobile op before I started my own, we used to get paid hourly, and he scaled it back. So when you were doing a 2-hour like junior high dance, nobody wanted to work them. Yeah. Because you got paid nothing.
Yeah.
2 hours. That was that. What we wound up doing was I wound up taking the median between what the longest weddings were with all the bells and whistles and what the shortest ones were. I flopped it down in the middle, and that's what we paid everybody. And we did,
right?
Yeah. And we did it that way because then we had plenty of coverage, and some of the guys would be like, oh yeah, I'm banking money tonight for a 2-hour junior high. Hell yeah, I'm going to take this. I'm going to turn around and piss it away at the bar, and I'm a happy guy. So that was that. But, when we were paying hourly and you have a 2-hour junior high or 3-hour background corporate party, they're like, it's not worth me going out and grabbing my gear and coming in. It's too many hours. It's not worth it. So that's the way it worked for me. I'm not saying it works for everybody that way.
Right. We do pay hourly, and for us, I want to say it's like $20 an hour, which isn't a bad wage on an hourly basis, at least especially in the Destin market. But we do that not just based on the hours of the event, but we also include setup and teardown time as well. So typically, most of the time, they're easily banking $100 for being an assistant on a 3-hour event. On a 4-hour event, it's 120. So more. So definitely.
And in Chicago, our average wedding's 5.5 to 6 hours. And then it just, again, I don't pay more for extra lighting or a ceremony system. Because again, to me, it all comes out in the wash.
Right.
So some days you'll work a little harder. Some days you're literally carrying in basic lights and 2 speakers with the DJ. You're set up in 15 minutes and, you're looking at Facebook to see what's going on because you're there an hour early. So that's all.
One last question on the assistants, and then we can move on to the next topic. But somebody says one of the biggest challenges you will I face is training. Sometimes it's OJT, which I don't know what that stands for, during setup, and it takes patience and a quick learner. OJT.
Here, let me Google it. Maybe we're just too old. We just don't get it. On the job training.
There you go.
OJT.
Yeah. So
too many people are abbreviating. Don't be lazy. Type it out. Growing up, did you ever see Brad Upton, the comedian?
Brad Upton.
He's a new comedian that's all over Dry Bar Comedy. And it's funny. He goes, LOL. He goes, we had something growing up. He goes, it was HAHA, and it stood for ha ha. And you know what that was? It was funny. It was ha ha. So when we turned around and we posted a joke, on an email or we passed a note in study hall, it was ha ha at the end of it when they knew we were kidding. There was no LOL.
Right.
So, but I guess ha ha was just one too many too many words or letters. On the job training, here's the thing. I believe that if your DJ assistant is literally, forgive me for saying this, being treated like your biatch, then that person has a gripe, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're legitimately, like, one of the things that we always did was I knew what I'd be playing next, but I used to play the game with the assistants. What would you play next? What would you play next? And we did it so that I would know whether or not that DJ was starting to think like a DJ. And even if that person was picking something different than what I was playing, what I'd wind up doing is I would ask them the why. And sometimes they had a legitimate reason. Sometimes they were just like, oh, because YMCA always works. Okay.
Right.
But I need a why. Not just because it always works. I need a why.
Right.
And so that was that. You're laughing. What is someone saying?
No, they were talking about LOL and someone said living on love.
Living on love.
Yeah. Well, and to your training thing, Martin, I would say, jeez, that is so crazy.
What we got? 22 minutes to go. You talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to get something to drink. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, Martin, to the training end, I think there are some things that you clearly want to make sure they're not assisting you in a way that could be harmful for your event. You don't want to have them playing a formality song for you or making an announcement that could be detrimental to the job. So put them on easy stuff first. I mean, taping down things is a pretty easy thing to show them. Hooking up a system is pretty easy. We have people literally pressing buttons on the first day. So I think you got to start with the small things, and then the bigger things. One of the best ways to kind of maximize your time is to make some videos, put them on YouTube and make them private. That way, you can just share it with just your team. But these days, the easiest way to make sure that you're not wasting your time in training is to make it a repetitive process, something that's easy. So hopefully that helps you there with some ideas there. And I know Pascal was asking why I'm a single op in one market and maybe a multi-op in some of the others. For those of you that don't know me well, I have 3 locations, and they're kind of across the country, which is an interesting model for sure. But one in Southern California where we have 2 guys. Florida is our biggest market. We've got 6 or 7 DJs, I think now. And then New York, I only have one. And honestly, like I've only added staff when it necessitates it. I've never added anybody when we didn't have the demand. And right now in the New York market, I haven't needed to add another person. And I'm kind of going after a different segment of the market too. So it would take a while for me to be able to feel comfortable to bring somebody in that kind of luxe market. It would I would probably bring somebody from Florida, fly them in before I would bring somebody in from, on their own here. But I am looking at finding an assistant in the New York market just to help me with my local events where I just need an assistant. So
I can wear flip-flops. I'm in.
It'd be great. It'd be great.
In New York.
So let's move on to another one. Similar kind of, but not to the event part of the assisting. What about adding office staff? When do you feel like that is appropriate, and how has it worked for you? This episode sponsored by Corona, part of the episode. But this could apply to a single op, not just a multi-op. So, have you added administration staff, and when? Because I have not had the best of luck. I'll explain my situation later, but you go first. I think this is a
well, let's see. I started full time, and then I was also at the right place, right time. My brother was 4 years younger than me, so when my company started to take off, he was in college. So he would come by and do a lot of the music organizing and some of the grunt work after he was done at school. And so it worked out pretty well. And then at the same point in time, I took on my first full-time employee in, I think, like 1992. And his job was primarily
full-time
selling. Yeah, full-time. He had a salary, small, but he had a salary and a commission base. And I used to deliver pizzas at lunchtime because we had a 10 by 10 office, and we had 2 desks in there and one phone and one phone line and no internet. And we'd like take turns on the phones and doing stuff. And it just was what it was. It was 1992. Our database for the schools was a 3-ring binder with the alphabet tabbed, and that's how we did it. And I would go work from 11 until 2 delivering pizzas to make sure that I could pay his salary. And the cool part was they used to let me take all the extra slices back to the office at 2 o'clock, whatever was left over. So it covered my lunch, it covered his lunch, and we are ghetto fabulous, but it worked. And you know what? It definitely helped the business. And we went from that 10 by 10 to 985 square feet to 5,000 square feet. And within like 3 years, we were employing like 40 people, something like that. And then it got to a point where we had 15 DJs in house, and then a handful of independent guys that were doing it. And so that was that. And then even here, as I bought businesses, when I lost the business and started over again, I would say that we were probably, I think Larry came over 6 months into the business, maybe. I want to say maybe 6 months. He was my main sales guy when I used to own the other company, and he was drowning over there. They completely changed the corporate culture, and they really became a stack 'em and rack 'em Walmart DJ company. And that's fine. It was the 2 of them had that kind of a deal, but I was more of a talent-based guy. I wanted to really develop people's talents and their personalities and go from there. Jody Harris is saying hello, so I'm guessing she might be in the car. Jody, are you in the car ride coming home from LA back to Vegas, or are you in your hotel room? Wait, it's only 6:30 in LA.
Or Vegas. It's the same time zone.
Yeah, that's true. So, and Nicole Neiman just joined in. Nicole goes back with me back in the day. Her and her mom own a production company, fashion show production company, Fashions with Flair, and we did work for them for years and years and years, and still close friends. So that's that. So it's nice to see so many familiar faces tonight.
Right. Yeah.
So that was my first thing, but I knew that I wanted employees. I always knew that I wanted employees. So, and I think to this day, as much as some of them drive me crazy, it's just part of the deal. It's just part of the way it goes. So,
well, for me, I made the mistake of hiring somebody because I thought that it would help me get to the next step instead of waiting until I got to that step and then needing somebody. I thought that would help me get there. And that was the worst mistake I could have made, because basically I felt like I was bringing this person on, and after 4 months I realized that the income wasn't materializing like I thought it was.
Was that the employee's fault, or was that your fault?
My fault.
Okay,
100%.
for not having a clear business path.
No. I had a good business path. I mean, I had a plan. I knew what I wanted to project. I already was thinking, okay, this person's going to take over these things. It's going to allow me this many hours to grow sales, but it never materialized quickly enough to the point where like this is going to be a detriment. Person here and could I don't want to say bring down the business, but now all of a sudden I'm like in a terrible spot. And so the worst, I mean, I made it work for 6 months, and then I had to let this person go because the business just wasn't there to support their salary. And I learned a valuable lesson at that point. I was like, until the business can support it, I'm not going to just bring somebody on with the hopes that it's going to get there because it's all projection based. I'm going to make sure that there's actual real numbers there first, and then do it that way. So that was my one lesson in doing it. And since then, I think that in today's age, there are so many ways of being able to automate things, and there's apps and all kinds of things that will make your life easier, that as far as the office stuff goes, I think you can really get by without office help for quite a while, until it just gets to a piece where you're just like, oh my gosh, I need to get somebody in here.
Well, there's no question you can automate your planning tools now.
Yeah,
you can.
Totally.
There's a lot of stuff you can automate.
Contracts. I mean, all of that stuff is automated. Whereas before, it wasn't maybe the case. So for me, if I had to say the first type of hire I would be looking at is somebody who's going to be generating revenue. So that would be a salesperson, because if they're helping you generate revenue, then they're making the keep, if you will.
Sure. So
I've always felt like that's always been like the first hire that I would be looking for. And that's always been the case in the last couple of years, as we've been looking at those people. But we haven't had an admin person for years, because we feel like we've automated so many processes. And then when we do need that, we've been going the route of what do you call it? Not an apprentice. What's somebody who's
intern?
Intern. There you go.
Okay.
That's where we would be going if we're going to bring somebody on to do something.
My biggest concern with interns is honestly where to put them. That's like my biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the space built out where I can put them in a good space where they're going to feel productive and feel like they're getting something out of it.
Right.
So, but that's on me. When I built the place, I didn't plan on having interns. So,
right.
So that was all.
I know.
Now that I have the magazine, I really want interns. So.
Right. Well, and there's a photographer here in New York, and he's got 5 of them that he brings in throughout the week, different ones. And his model is very interesting. He trains one on one thing, and then it's their job to train the other 4 on that thing, so that way he's never having to use his time to train everybody the whole way through. If that makes sense.
But the question being is, do you think those 5 people are truly getting an internship?
Well, they are, because they're getting, each of them is being trained by the owner on a separate item, if you will. Okay. So it's not like it's one person who's getting all the nuggets and then having to transfer it all on.
Okay.
But I mean, again, that's just one person's model.
I get it.
So just a way there.
I get it.
What about, this is going to be, because we only got like 10 more minutes. So what about the controversial, when you start to age out of certain parts of the DJ world and you need to start doing different events or getting out of it all completely? I mean, there's people in our industry who have been in it forever, and I don't think that it would take literally death to move them off the turntables.
It depends. My very good friend Randy Ray has transitioned away from doing weddings and mitzvahs, and she's in her 50s now, and she's doing nursing home jobs. She likes the people. She loves the folks. And let me tell you, I always say this. I don't care how successful people look at a DJ Expo or what have you. If I needed 25 grand tomorrow to buy a kidney for my nephew on the black market, who could I turn to? I know I could turn to her because she's doing 1 million of these nursing home jobs for $150 a pop. She's booking like 4 of them a day, and they're all during the week. And so she's making $100,000 a year, and that's it. Even the people doing bubble parties during the week and stuff, and it's the old adage: don't let your ego become your amigo.
Right.
And so that's all. I just because I don't want to do it doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
But but are there certain events that you've kind of put yourself like I would never do a certain kind of event? Is there like a school dance?
Yeah, I'm not doing mitzvahs. I'm not doing schools anymore.
Why did you make that decision?
Mitzvahs, I just don't want to interact. I'm 49 as of yesterday. I don't want to be jumping up and down with 12-year-olds. Like, I'm their uncle now, and I'm their older uncle now. I mean, my niece is 13, so I'm definitely the uncle. It's just not cool. I loved it when I was younger and cool and thin and had the dancers around me, and we were dancing and having a good time. And and when I would go out for Kiss FM and did all the promotional parties and stuff, and I mean, when the DJs were simulcast in from all over the country, excuse me, I actually had a lot of them mad at me because when we would do the actual concerts, like the Jingle Bell Bash type things, they'd be mad because all the kids knew who I was because I had been at Navy Pier doing karaoke stuff and game shows and doing their junior high dances, and I was my company was contracted to do all that stuff, and it was great. It was a great gig. And everyone knew me and came running up to me, and they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's the afternoon DJ." And they were like, "What's his name?" And I'd be like, "It's Brian Bounassissi." And they'd be like, "Who?" And
they'd know.
Okay. Right. They'd be like, "He's a pizza guy, Bounassissi Pizza."
Yeah.
So,
but do you think that it just organically happened where people weren't calling you for those bar mitzvahs anymore? Or do you think that,
no, because Howard Wallach, there's a lot of guys still my age in the industry that are still doing it. It was really my decision, and I could have kept pushing forward and exhibiting at the bar mitzvah showcases and and doing my own showcases, which is what we're really known for.
Right.
It's just something I didn't want to do. Okay. I don't love it. I don't like the new music. I couldn't tell you 5 songs off the top 40 right now.
They're all Drake. just get Drake's album.
Yeah. Speaking of that, and I think it's Drake. Have we all heard about this incredibly stupid Shiggy challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, that people are jumping. Like, it's fine. Like, it's a little dangerous that kids are jumping out, but there are kids jumping out with their car in gear, and like,
it's crazy.
They were showing on Inside Edition. I got a link sent to me today by Gene Neary, and it's showing kids that are dumb enough to let their car be not just they're hurt. They're like getting run over by their own car.
It's ridiculous.
It's the stupidest thing in the world. I mean, these are the same kids eating Tide Pods and
right.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And this is where I start to go, I don't want to be the old curmudgeoner that says, oh, these damn kids, like I'm in the back of I'm at the end of a Scooby-Doo thing, but it's just one of those things where I'm kind of like, okay, like I know my role, I know my place, and that's it.
So do you see that there's a time that when do you think you would ever hang them up from the actual DJ life of things? Because you own the business. As
it is now, I'm just emceeing. Okay.
And that's just because you don't want to stay up on the music, or is it the load in? What is it?
You know what? Here's what was interesting. What I loved the most about DJing was figuring it out. Okay. Mm-hmm. I would drive home and I would literally be like, next time I'm going to do this song into that song, or, oh, this transition to that would have been better, or, man, I blew the brake here. And like, I was like John Madden watching the game, playing it back in my head over and over and over again. And I used to live for it. And I equate it as this. It was like trying to figure out the best recipe possible for chicken Parmesan. Mm-hmm. Okay. Once you've figured it out that you want to have imported tomatoes from Italy and an authentic Italian olive oil and you want to have organic, natural chicken breasts, and you want to pound it out just right so it's a certain thickness, and then you're going to use panko breadcrumbs, right? And you're going to do all of this stuff. When you have that perfect recipe and everybody's telling you it's the right recipe, at some point you're just making chicken parm over and over and over and over again. And so for me, like, I don't love the DJ side of it anymore. I love making people happy, and I still have a nice deep set of pipes. And you and I have talked, and John's got me doing was it DJNTV? DJNTV, the private chat, the paid one, where he's going to be, every week I'm going to be doing a very short, like, I guess 20-30 minute. He's going to throw a scenario at me, and I'm going to explain as an MC how I would handle it, what the goal is, what the objective was, and that's going to be it. So I don't know if that show is going to be live, or I know it's just for the subscriber base. So if you want information, shoot Disc Jockey News a thing, and you can become a part of that. But it's part of John's vision of having a private education series. Anyhow, I always viewed it as, I always felt organized, like I could put things together and I could see the vision, and I knew where the end path was, or where the goal line was. And that's where I was always headed. And I think that a lot of DJs go from one song to the next song to the next song, whereas I was always like 4 or 5 songs ahead of time.
Yeah.
I would be going, this is my set. I'm going to do this, then this, then this, then this. And that's how I would go unless the dance floor took a left turn, because I had programmed the wrong song.
So because you love that, figuring that piece out, I mean, that doesn't make much sense to me that you would transition to the MC side. Why wouldn't you want to still, have you lost the passion for figuring that part of it out on the DJ?
I figured it out, like.
Oh, so you're saying.
So what I'm saying is I'm making chicken Parmesan over and over and over again.
Got it.
And I just don't love it anymore. I know the breaks. I know where I'm in. I know where I'm out. I know where to drop the music. I know where to, and and trust me, I could be booked 100 times a year personally, and even being 49, even being 120 pounds overweight, I can book myself solid. And I know it. I know how to work the venues. I know how to do everything, but I'm more into, laying that responsibility on my guys and me being the face of the company administratively. And that's really where I'm at. And I used to hate The Office. Okay. I used to literally hate The Office, and I wanted to just get out and entertain. The Office was a necessary evil. Now I love The Office. I feel like I'm in control here. So Big Daddy just joined in. His ears must have been ringing. Dwayne Erickson's here. Donnie Lewis joined not too long ago. I want to know if Big Daddy's watching it in the hotel room with Jody Harris. Or Big Daddy, are you back in Connecticut, or are you still out west?
Well, I know for me, with the aging question, I've always appreciated the sports analogies of guys who knew when to get out when they got out, and they got out on top. And, I look at my window of like, okay, and I don't know why it's the number, but for me, it is the 50 number. Like, I think I want to be done at the 50 mark. Now, that's not to say that guys who are still doing it at 50 aren't rocking it out, but that for me, I think this is always going to be a personal decision.
Sure.
There's no right or wrong, but I want to ride out on the high level and be hopefully. So with that, I feel like I'm in my sweet spot right now. I've got 10 years to really grind.
You're so young.
And that'll still, but that's still, I mean, it sounds like it's, only 10 years, but I mean, that's a good amount of time. I feel like I can really maximize myself in that. And then I hope that at that point I figured out where within that 10-year frame where I'm going next, whatever that is. But that could change. I mean, it could be I get to that 50 and I feel just as good as I was at 40. I'm still relatable and to the music and feel like I love it. And who knows? But I think it's one of those things where there's never going to be A plus B equals C for every person. And any of the stuff we've talked about tonight, it's all,
I agree.
There's a lot of different factors, but I think the best thing you can do is to just learn from others and see if it works for you. And
I do believe in, do you watch Marcos Lemonis in The Prophet on CNBC?
I do. I love that show.
Love it. The 3 Ps: people, process, product.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so incredibly true. He's on my bucket list of people to meet, and he lives here in Chicago. I actually reached out to see if he could speak at Marquee, and thank God I didn't contract with him because it would have cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
But he's on my bucket list of people that I want to meet and chat with and just have lunch with. I mean, I'm not looking for him to buy my company or come into my company. I just find his business model very, very solid. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we're at 8:59, 9:00 exactly. Anything you have going? Are you going to DJ Times?
I don't know yet, to be honest with you. This is for me, the summer it's too hot to do anything in Florida. So Florida's dead. We are in like clean mode, spring clean mode for us there. But my corporate business in New York and across the country is big. So I've got like 10 events in the first week of August alone.
Okay, good.
So with that, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it out there, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm coming off of like a big project that particular week.
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
I made my hotel room.
Okay.
And I've got friends there, so I'm confident I can get my passes without a problem.
Uh-huh.
Your dog just get like put into a grinding wheel.
The wife must be coming home.
Okay. Gotcha. So for me, it's just a matter of, I wish Spirit Airlines, which everybody hates, used to be the airline that would literally fly from Chicago direct to Atlantic City, 2 hours, 15-minute cab ride. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. Hang on a second. We said hello to Big Daddy, and now Big Daddy's going live. What kind of bullshit is this?
Well, we're going overtime, so there you go.
We're gonna have to have a talk with him about this.
So we're not on next week though, right? We
are not.
Okay.
Sure. John is going vacation, and since he's the man
deserved
curtain, I don't know how to run the stuff. We've all proven to our listeners that we don't know how to run the stuff. So
I need a tutorial.
So John's going to be on vacation next week, and then we will pick up the week after, which would be first week of August, probably. So it'll be just before, right? Yeah. So 27th. So we'll be the first week of August, just before DJ Times.
Right.
And so that's where we're at. So again, my shameless plug is, if you've heard good things about Marquee, and if you attended it, I want you to take advantage of the 50% off discount. So tickets, use promo code EARLYBIRD, save yourself some cash. So I know that a lot of people said, they told me privately, they want to come, they just couldn't afford it. So now you've got a full year to plan, and you can get the tickets now at half price. I mean, there's no question that it's the best value in town.
Right.
So, and we got nothing but great. We got like 3 new reviews today from people that really love the show. So that was that. So, John, are you here?
Yep.
Here he is. Come on and say hello. Or you're not even going to say hello, John?
Well, I could.
There we go.
I just was finishing up some video things here. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. So, did we miss anything, John?
August 2nd, you guys will be back. That is our next Thursday. We'll actually have 2 shows, and then we'll be up against DJ Expo, and who knows what happens that week. That could be a crazy week.
And then what I started telling, I don't know if you actually watching the show. You probably don't. You're like Ted Turner. You just own the network. So this private disc jockey, tell listeners about the private.
The DJNTV Insider area that Casey was talking about earlier is we're doing the convention series, Monday night shows, where a lot of the folks who are doing the convention seminars that you've seen on the national shows, we're having them come in and do a half-hour to 45-minute seminar on a Monday night. And as part of that, that's going to be
live as well in the private
Some
group?
are live and some are pre-recorded. It depends on the schedules of the people and how busy they are and such, and how it works out. But we try to make most of them live, so that way there's a Q&A time at the end. And that's part of that idea of having that additional information and education for our DJNTV Insider members is what Casey was talking about, where he's going to be I
love that idea, by the way. I love it.
Brian has played this game with Casey, and I have, and you guys haven't. Is that Casey has a lot of knowledge when it comes to situational things that happen at weddings and how to set a moment up. And that's basically going to be what this circumstance will be, in that where we'll give him that scenario and just let him riff on it for 5 minutes. and you guys are going to learn a lot because there's times where Casey knows he knows quite a bit, but there's times where he actually, I think, knows more than he actually gives himself credit for surely, in public. So that's what this is going to be about.
And this all started, guys, because I told John about a story recently. I ran into a couple whose wedding I had done the whole families for, and at their cousin's wedding, 3 songs into the night, the mother of the groom's coworker, an older gentleman, died of a heart attack. And I took over and made things happen, and we went into an hour of overtime. And I took a very big negative into a very big positive. And you will have to subscribe to DJNTV to get all the details. But I'm sure that John will put all the subscription information in the notes of tonight's show, and we'll get it shared on the marquee page as well, and go from there. So that's how it all started. And we've all had these things, but John has some sort of an odd appreciation from my viewpoint. So we'll see if anybody else does.
Crazy, chaotic viewpoint that sometimes, makes us all blush and feel. But there's those moments. There's that where the brilliance comes through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brian's laughing because he's thinking the same thing, sometimes. Casey, take us out.
That's
It's
all
time
I got.
to go.
Brian, anything else?
No, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you 2 weeks, guys. Thanks, John.
All right.
Good night and God bless.
Good night, everybody.